Hello everyone and welcome to Coffee with CA.
Initially, I had a lot of challenges. They get married very early, or they postpone their marriages.
Yeah. So you have a background in engineering and now also you're a chartered accountant. So how do you see the merger of the two worlds?
They have come and told me like, okay, I have watched your videos and this video was extremely good and helpful. So that is when I understood the kind of reach that you get. One thing I'm very sure of, you will not be able to damage the profession. Whether you bring in something good or you add value to the profession is again something we need to watch out for, but I'm sure you will not damage it. And this during my CA days, I had this one song which is very, very relatable. I don't know the entire song. Hum tum ek kamre mein band ho.
Hello everyone and welcome to Coffee with CA with me, your host Jeena Barwani. Today on this episode, we have someone very special with us who is an engineer turned chartered accountant. So she's seen the best of both worlds, that is numbers and tech. So without any further ado, let's get started and learn all about the journey of CA Rekha Uma Shiv. Hello ma'am and welcome to this episode. So Zoho being a tech company, we are really excited to see how your journey has been like from going from being an engineer to a CA. So tell me all about it.
Okay, hi, hello Jeena. So I think this is like, to be very frank, I am not a person who has to be, who was destined to be a CA.
Oh, okay.
So I basically was interested in medicine.
Oh.
So medicine, and unfortunately, as every youngster, they try for medicine and they end up in engineering. So that was my regular route. And engineering also, I was into a field which had no relation with CA. It was electrical electronics.
Okay.
So after graduating in EEE, I joined a corporate. Like almost 6 years I was working there. So that was the time I needed to take a break.
Okay.
So normally when you take a break, it will be like 2 years and then you again join the corporate.
Correct.
So, and again you join as a fresher, more like a fresher after a sabbatical.
Yeah.
You lose control of what you were doing and again you'll be joining basically as a fresher. So that I didn't want that to happen. So I just thought of doing some course which will be like beneficial. MBA was my first choice.
Okay.
So since I come from a family, like my father is also a CA, so he was the one who suggested, why don't you do a CA?
Oh, okay.
Like maybe I could also guide you a little bit here and there. But thinking of this course, CA was not a choice for everyone.
Correct, especially from an engineering background, I think that would be like your last choice given it's numbers related.
Very true. And a person who didn't have that much of interest in commerce, I was a little very skeptical of whether I need to do this or not.
Okay.
But then, yeah, let me give a chance, and that was my first thought, and I just gave it. And initially, I had a lot of challenges, especially coming from a tech engineering background.
Correct.
And that too, you've been working for almost 6 years, and that too in the software domain. Coming to a area which you had no clue of, that was little not an easy cakewalk. But somehow I thought maybe I should do it, and then that was the time I had my son.
Oh, okay.
He was like 1 month old. So when I registered for this course,
okay.
So being a new
mother
and keeping hold of your household activities, coming into a new area totally which you don't have any clue of, there were challenges. So then I thought maybe, as everyone says, like when you don't have much of a guidance and interest, or maybe you don't know anything about the subject, better to go for classes.
Correct.
So I joined for classes. Again, the distance was another one challenging factor.
Okay.
I had to go for classes like around 25 kilometers from my home.
Okay.
So up and down it came to around 50 kilometers, and I used to travel morning and evening as well. So that was one of the things, but there was no specific interest as such moving into CA. But the very wonderful or maybe very captivating fact is that once I joined the course, I started getting an interest.
Okay.
So I remember my mom buying me textbooks of 11th and 12th of
so that you can get the basics
the basics right. So when my kid was there, like 1 month old, I used to just go with the textbooks like 11th and 12th to see the basics of accounting and taxation and all. So mostly I found like accountancy was, yes, French and Latin for me. Initially I didn't have any clue. Then came up with tax. Yes, tax was also somewhat similar. But when I took certain papers like costing and law, yes, I thought, yes, I can do it, because engineering also we have similar things like costing.
There was like a little more theoretical in that sense, because law and audit and all of it is a lot more theory.
Audit and law, mostly it was theoretical, but yes, you do to have a lot of analysis and case laws. You have to link here and there. But costing was comparatively easy for me. Coming from an engineering background, yes, we do costing there also, so kind of okay for me. But yes, accountancy and taxation was still a challenge. But somehow I got into it.
Okay.
I still remember in my first inter exams where I gave, I was literally shivering. And the invigilator, I remember she came and asked me like, what is with you? Like I was continuously shivering for the first 15 minutes.
Okay.
Not 15 minutes, I would say almost throughout the exam. That was the thing. So, and once I finished with all the exams, I remember telling my dad like, okay, only paper I will pass is auditing. And I'm sure I'll get about 90. I was very confident. Okay, so that was the kind of
preparation that you had done for auditing.
And the kind of experience that I had with the exams.
Okay.
But to my surprise, when the result came, I came as a Trivandrum topper.
Oh, okay.
The city from where I gave the exams. And I think that was the turning point or the boost which actually helped me to go ahead with my finals. So once I got this kind of a result with my Inter, I was a little confident. I wasn't very confident, you can say, because totally different background with a kid. If I am able to achieve, and then I thought, yes, final should not be that difficult as people say. So that actually gave me a lot of motivation for my finals. And then I went ahead with the finals, and that way I was able to clear within the period. And yes,
that's nice. So you did like EEE engineering, which as per my knowledge is like one of the most hardest engineering degrees out there. And you've also done like CA, again not a very easy course. So you've achieved 2 hard degrees, and all being in a span of say how many years approximately?
2008 I qualified my engineering. Okay. 2017 I qualified my CA.
Okay, so within a span of say approximately 10 years, you completed the 2 most important degrees, which everyone out there is always contemplating to join because of the the hard work and effort that goes into it. So you must be feeling very proud of yourself, at least in the way of say feeling happy about it that you've completed this. And
definitely. Engineering, yes, as you said, EEE is not a choice for everyone. Correct. So we had like 6 girls in our class.
Okay.
All the remaining were boys. So the main reason why you don't find most of the girls in mechanical and electrical is because of the toughness of the subject.
Exactly.
So that was one challenge, but somehow, as usual, I was able to navigate that, and even there also I secured pretty well.
Okay.
And CA also the same thing happened, but only thing I normally tell to everyone is it's not about the difficulty of the course, it's about how you approach it and your attitude towards it. So normally people will have this overconfidence, I would say. Because coming from a commerce background, people normally think yes, CA is a cakewalk, or any course for that matter, let it be CMA or CS or LLB, anything it is a cakewalk. So they already have that apprehension with them. But coming from a different background, normally you will be like little skeptical whether you'll be able to do it or not in the first. So you prepare yourself much better than others do. So that was one thing that helped me crack CA. And second is, yes, after these 2, I was very proud, especially after completing my CA, because that I had many challenges then. So engineering, at least I was a day scholar, so you used to be with your parents. So all the support, you have a proper support system, so no other challenges in hand. So only responsible for you is to study. So but once after your marriage, after kid, then you have numerous responsibilities. And again, the major thing was, after you get paid for almost 6 years, you have seen the paycheck, tasted that, and then you again come as an article. You again join as an intern.
On a stipend that too.
On a stipend, it was like little demotivating in the beginning. And I still remember the classes where I used to go. I was a senior.
Okay.
I can see almost everyone in the age group of around 17 to 18. And I joined by like around 28, 29. So it was like, I don't fit into the group of students.
You're not able to like correlate them.
Yes, and the kind of conversations they have, the kind of responsibilities that I have, never matched. But the thing is, I was very, very happy that I could make a lot of friends also in my classes, though they were my juniors. Always young at heart, so that should not be an issue. So that actually helped me and very proud. And I think my parents were literally very proud when I cleared CA.
So I think you stand as an example that, no matter what age you are, where you are at your life, you can always study and, do your exams, clear it, whether you're married, not married, have a kid, don't have a kid. So that should never be a factor to take into consideration if you're very dedicated towards your subject.
True. Because now these days, if you see, like many of them, either they get married very early,
correct,
or they postpone their marriages.
Yeah.
Just because they want to study. So what I feel is, if it is meant to happen and if you have that kind of a passion towards it, if you're able to dedicate your time, if you're able to manage time well, I think that should not be an hindrance.
Okay.
Because I have seen many mothers, many who are like after taking a break, again coming back to a course, taking a break, coming and again reaching the corporate ladder. So many examples.
Yeah.
So that should never be a stoppage, because as my father used to say, man is a student till death.
Correct, yeah, definitely.
So there is no age for studying or getting new degrees or even improving or career, starting a new business or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's nice. So you started your own practice then?
Yes, I started my own practice. I joined as a partner with my dad.
With your dad.
So it's like he was in practice for almost 42 years, and I joined him as a partner as soon as I qualified.
So what part of the practice do you manage? Like, do you manage the audit? Do you manage the tax?
I predominantly work in auditing and assurance and direct taxation.
All right. Okay.
But I also move into IS audit, information system audit, and cyber security.
Given that your background of engineering. So you have a background in engineering, and now also you're a chartered accountant. So how do you see the merger of the two worlds?
Initially, when I came into CA, I thought whatever I have done so far was going to be a complete waste.
Okay.
Because engineering has no relation with CA.
Correct.
And in the corporate segment, I was with data warehousing. So again, that has no linkage with
CA,
the new profession I have chosen. But if you see, now CA has, if you see the institute also, it is embarking on new technologies. If you see blockchain, data analytics, AI. So whatever I have learned in my engineering or whatever experience I have my data warehousing, I can directly use it in my CA.
Correct.
Whether it be with respect to analysis or providing them insights. Say, the thing is, when you are coming from a different background, a totally different background, your thinking will also be different.
You have different perspectives
We
when
have a
compared to
different
like a chartered
perspective.
accountant.
Yes, we will never think only as an accountant. You will have a different perspective. Say, for example, if I'm going to a corporate, if I'm doing the audit, if I'm giving an MIS report, the kind of analysis I make and the kind of analysis a person coming only from an accounting background makes will be different.
Correct. Yeah.
So that kind of an impact definitely it has. And moreover, the ability to embrace technology is much faster when coming from a different background. That's what I have felt.
Okay.
So if I see my colleagues, to understand the new concepts, it will take time. But for me, I think it is comparatively easier, and I do a lot of knowledge transfer also. So in that way, I learn. I keep myself updated.
Correct.
So that way, I think engineering has helped me a lot, especially with critical analysis and thinking. That I think I have an edge over others since I come from this particular. I think this is basically because of my previous background that I have.
Yeah. So you use both CA and engineering to the best of, to get the best results right now. All right. So I have one question, ma'am. I also see that you have done a lot when it comes to, giving back, and in terms of mentoring students. I see you attending seminars or even conducting seminars and conducting workshops earlier. And so how did you get into that?
Actually, when I joined CA, I had the honor of attending the classes of my guru MP Vijay Kumar sir.
Oh, okay. We had him on the show some time ago.
So I think that was the first start or motivation I can say to come into the profession. So there are two gurus for me. One is my dad and second is MPV sir.
Okay.
And I had the privilege of being tutored by the legends, I think say Pattabhiram sir or Bhupati sir, all legends of this particular accounting profession. I think that actually had given me that passion to teach, because I never wanted to teach before. But once I attended their classes, the way they teach, how they are able to motivate the students, and I got a lot inspired from these faculties. So I think one of the major reasons that I became successful or I got through the exams is mainly because of my gurus. So I think that was the first start point for that. And then I had this passion for teaching also. Like slowly as I qualified. So what I said, initially when I started my practice, I also started teaching simultaneously. So initially it was not a very welcoming move.
In the sense?
In the sense, as a fresher, you don't get many students in the beginning.
That's there.
So even when you approach tuition centers also, the first thing they'll be asking you is when you got qualified.
How many years experience?
How many years of experience you have. So whether you'll be able to. So that initial opportunity wise, yes, it was a little difficult. But then there are a few institutes who actually offered me that, and I started teaching. And then I had this idea of why don't I give something like YouTube channel or start a YouTube channel. Deliver some lectures. It's like free of cost. At least the students will get benefited, because when I used to study, I used to search a lot of videos. Most of the content, sometimes it will be in Hindi, sometimes it will be. So I wanted some content in English so that people will be able to relate with it better. So I just started putting videos, random videos and auditing. And I think that was the start. Many of the institute, after seeing that, they started calling me. The kind of delivery that you give, the kind of conceptual clarity that you are able to inculcate in the students, the kind of examples you give, I think many calls I started getting. And that was the time of COVID also. So it was like more of virtual sessions that gaining importance. So that time actually I thought, yes, why don't I try? And I started teaching. Then I got this big break of, I got as a guest faculty, enrolled myself as a guest faculty with the Board of Studies of ICAI. So that was like one-time opportunity, I would say, because from the South, and I got enrolled as a faculty for the subject called Enterprise Information Systems. So I think from the South, I was the only faculty, and we already have one faculty from the North. So that actually gave me a lot of confidence, because the number of students attending your virtual classes is huge. You have thousands, 10,000, 20,000 students attending all over India, and you get queries also from them. All you have to do within a short span of 2.5 hours, giving the answer to their queries as well as delivering the subject. So actually that gave me a great experience as a faculty. And then I started my journey. Like I started taking classes in Kerala, Ernakulam, Thrissur, Kochi, Kozhikode, many places, and in Chennai also. So that way actually it helped me, and I was able to motivate my students also. So that was actually a privilege that was given to me.
So rather than just completing your own CA, you have also helped a lot of people to complete their CA courses.
In the least possible manner I could. I wouldn't say, because there are many who have done enormous work for the students as well as for the members. But the little possible way, yes, I have done. Especially how I understood is many of my students and students who are like doing the CA curriculum, who are not known to me. They have come and told me like, okay, I have watched the videos and this video was extremely good and helpful. So that is when I understood the kind of reach that you get.
You get with YouTube,
how your materials are being utilized. And I started also preparing PPTs with sample questions, and I also started sharing with the students.
So this was for the inter level, that is IPCC, or
I have done for inter level. IPCC I used to take for 2 subjects, auditing and enterprise information systems. And final I have done for 1 paper. It is a case study based paper called risk management.
Alright. So ma'am, I understand that, from what your journey has been like, so you ended up being a faculty at ICAI, and then now you're a council member. So how did that transition happen?
To be very frank, my passion was more into teaching. Helping out the students, because I know how difficult time I had as a student. So that kind of aid I wanted to give it to the student community, and practice of course. But this actually happened all of a sudden. You can say it is like a destiny. So not something that was thought of and well planned. It came all of a sudden. Few of the mentors whom I had, like they just on a fun talk, they said, why don't you nominate yourself for the council? So, before that I never had this thought of like what this council is all about. So how to get into the council, or what are the activities being done by them. Then I started like researching like what exactly is being done by them. So how I'll be able to divert my time if I get into that. So all these pros and cons I have worked out. Then I said, yes, this is a good opportunity for me to give back to the society at large, because I was only helping out the student community. Now why don't I try it out with the students, the members and the fraternity as a whole. So this is an opportunity that I get, not everyone gets.
Correct.
So that was something that actually motivated me to nominate myself. And as the nomination date came, yes, I think it was the last but one day before when I gave the nomination. And when the list came, yes, I was there in the list. And the election also was a totally different process, because it was completely new to me.
Yeah.
I had no political background.
Correct.
No one to actually guide me on how to do a campaign. So I remember every single thing, even the agenda, the PPTs, the flyers, I used to prepare myself.
Oh, okay.
So then I understood, like, okay, it is all being done by experts and professionals out there for others. So then I didn't have any clue. So everything, even the designing part, every single thing I used to do.
So then you got in touch of how marketing also works.
Yes. So that was the time that I used to tell my friends and parents, like, yes, I can do a branding that much better. Because when I came up with the flyers and the agendas and all, I don't think that it was much different from how others did with professionals. Yes, we can do it. So I had to do a little bit of homework for that.
Yeah.
How to do the designing, how to do the presentation, the coloring, everything. Single aspect. I remember not even one flyer I have given outside. Every single thing was done by myself. So after this, then that was the time when we had COVID. And so I cannot go ahead with any kind of physical campaign, like hardly for 4 to 5 days. I did. All that was mostly digital campaign, and I had a good friends community. So it was basically word of mouth. And since people know that I have been doing quite good for the student community, they had the trust in me. So that initially I couldn't feel, but once I got elected, I had few members coming and telling me, now, since you got elected, one thing I'm very sure of, you will not be able to damage the profession. Whether you bring in something good or you add value to the profession is again something we need to watch out for, but I'm sure you will not damage it. So that kind of a trust was like overwhelming for me. Correct. Initially, you don't get that kind of words from members, especially when you are a newly elected person, new to the fraternity and got newly elected. So
and if I'm not mistaken, the youngest council member also.
Yes, currently I am the youngest council member in the current council.
Yeah.
So that was like overwhelming, and then I thought, yes, it is my requirement, or that I need to keep that promise that I have given to the members and the students. So if they have entrusted me with such a great honor, it's a great privilege and on such a great position, then I need to use it very wisely. I need to contribute as much as I can, at least for this term, till the term ends. I should be at their service. So that was what I have given in my agenda, and most of the things whichever I have given in my agenda, I have tried to complete.
Okay.
So I think that was like one thing. And secondly, from Kerala, if you see, though I contested from Chennai, I was born and brought up in Trivandrum.
Correct.
It's a capital city of Kerala. So there we never had a lady nomination so far. So I think that I thought, yes, we need to have that. So nobody was like, people sometimes come at the branch level but may not try at the regional level. They always have this hesitation, or maybe like whether they will be able to make it. So I thought, yes, either there should be a start for everything. Whether you win or lose, you have to give it a start. So I think I just gave it a start, and it ended up very well.
That's nice. So you went in with the idea of like wanting to do much more for the council and for the fraternity as such, and for the community. And I think that's how you won also.
Yes.
That's nice. So right now, what is like? How do you manage so much? Like you've been having your own practice, and then you're part of the council. I see you also doing here and there talks in different areas of the world. So how do you do that? How do you manage that?
I think this question, the answer, I think I'll give the full benefit to ICA.
Okay.
Because we have an exam, it's a 3-hour exam predominantly.
Okay.
So in this 3 hours, it tests a lot of your patience, your how you memorize things, your ability to analyze, your critical thinking, most importantly, time management.
Yeah.
So if the same paper, I can ask you to write it for 6 hours or 7 hours, definitely you will pass. But the 3 hours is a challenge.
Correct.
How you are able to write and then come out with flying colors. So I think that was the first test. So if you are a CA, I think there is this thing called time management automatically comes. So even in the council, the initial 1 month, yes, I thought, yes, this is going to be a challenge. But I never felt it to be very overwhelming. I was able to manage my work, council, my
personal
family,
life.
yes, my son, his education and his extracurriculars. So many things came up, and as you said, like I not only involve myself only with the council, I also do a lot of public talks
Correct,
and
yeah.
events and sessions. So that actually came as a part of the curriculum. So it is not like something overwhelming.
Okay.
And again, it is your passion at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Say, I'm a person who loves traveling. So going to the branches like Andhra, Telangana, Bangalore or Trivandrum or any place, I actually love doing that.
Okay.
Say it might be an overnight journey, 12-hour journey, 13-hour journey. I actually love that. So I
you're
do.
down for it, yeah.
Yes, I do all the mails, checking the mails and all other works, whatever I do it actually when I travel.
Okay.
So I don't think that there's a hindrance anymore. But yes, as far as your career is concerned, yes, it will have some kind of a backlash. Especially you won't be able to divert most of your time for your work.
Practice.
But I think that will gradually take its own time to grow. And as you evolve yourself as a well-rounded personality, yes, that will automatically be taken care of in the long run.
Definitely. So that's a very nice way that you put, like, it'll take time to grow, but at the same time, it'll add to your personality as and when you pick up multiple opportunities that come your way. So ma'am, on the show we have this tradition where our previous guests would leave a question for the next guest, and without them knowing who is going to come on next. So the previous guest we had CA Nitin Shingala, and he left a question for you saying that so he left a question for you asking you that what would you do differently if you have the ability to reboot your career today?
Okay. So, ability to reboot your career, it may sound a little philosophical because I'm very happy with what I'm right now.
Correct.
That's one thing. And second thing is, if I have that opportunity to reboot the career, I think most of them what I have been today, like whether it be my practice, my teaching career or my counsel, it was nothing designed.
Correct.
So we usually have the statement of, okay, you can design your own destiny.
Yeah.
But now it is like you go on the flow, and then whatever comes in your way, either you take it as an opportunity or you take it as a challenge and make use of it. That is the thing. So rebooting your career per se, I don't wish to reboot my career, but if at all I have been given a chance, I would be concentrating more on the areas, not mostly into traditional practice, maybe upcoming areas. Say for example, still I'm doing that, but I would have started with that in the beginning. Say for example, if it is cybersecurity or data protection or AI, maybe into blockchain, certain areas which people have not ventured
gone
too much.
Full-fledged.
Yeah, full-fledged. Because most of us are still stuck with conservative practice, traditional practice, which is good. But I somehow feel like the future is all about exploring areas which is not explored yet. So I think that every area requires a start. Yes. So it is up to you to go explore the area, make sure that your impact is being felt there, take your profession to the next level and be an example for the whole fraternity. So I think that is the one thing that I would do.
That's very well said, ma'am. And so I would want you also to leave a question for the next guest. So if you could leave it as generic as possible, because we never know who's going to come on next.
Okay.
So
yeah,
please go ahead. It'll be also great if you could sign off with your name. Thank you so much for this, and this will be revealed in the next episode.
Sure.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's been wonderful talking to you and learning all about your journey, ma'am. So we are going to dive deep into the next segment, which is called Beyond the Balance Sheet. So this is where we want to get to know the fun, quirky side of you.
Okay.
All right. Have you ever encountered a financial concept that seemed very tricky at first? Probably it could be like while teaching your students, or it can also be like when you were studying for your CA. It was very tricky, but then you understood that like it's just like a breeze right now.
Initially, like when I joined my first course, CA Inter, I think the first chapter which I think was taught was partnership.
Okay.
Okay, so as I said before, MPV sir was my guru.
Correct.
And I felt it was okay. But there was one chapter called as single entry.
Correct. Yes, I remember that chapter.
And the worst part I can remember is by the time that question is read out and the answer also is read out, I'll be still struggling with drawing the journals and ledgers. All the ledgers I'll be still drawing that. So the moment I finished drawing the ledger and I see everyone have finished and would have even told the answer. So that was the kind of it was a horrible nightmare for me. That chapter was a real nightmare for me initially.
Great. So, if you had to create a playlist inspired by your accounting journey or any accounting term, or if you have any one particular song, what would it be?
Not accounting journey. I'm not that used to, like, I listen to a lot of songs, Hindi and Tamil and Malayalam. And this during my CA days, I had this one song which is very, very relatable. I don't know the entire song. Hum tum ek hamre mein band ho. So yes, I have all these books myself, everyone in one single row, nothing else.
Okay.
So I have my table with lot of books. Everywhere you see, it will be only books. So the moment we finish the exam, the first thing I told my parents and my friends is the next 1.5 months until my result is announced, I'm not even going to read the newspaper. So that much aversion you will be having.
Correct, yes.
So it will be only books and you. So
And
hum tum ek kamre mein band ho. That is
That's a nice one.
only thing.
The next one is like, if you were a virtual assistant designed specifically for accountants, because I know accountants are very busy and all of it, what would be your top feature and how would you help save time and reduce stress?
Okay. Now I think in this era of AI, most of us, especially CAs, they are in the era of like learning new technologies,
Correct.
especially embracing AI. So even if you see ICI, we have a new concept of AI in ICI, which actually promotes artificial intelligence and use of it. So if I had like an opportunity to be designing one of the tools or virtual assistant, I would make sure that that particular tool has a lot of AI-enabled features in it, especially when it comes to reporting.
Correct.
So most of the times, the language that you use in the report, the nuances of the report, the kind of wordings, sometimes it may even backfire you. It may even make sure that sometimes we won't be able to prove that we have been very diligent in the audit.
Correct.
So the kind of reporting and the language you use and the kind of disclosures that you make, I think AI will be able to help CAs a lot. So if I have been given a chance of playing the role of a virtual assistant, I'll make sure that it is completely AI enabled. Even if there is some kind of mistake that is coming from the part of a member, it should be able to proactively track that and give them hints. Say how when we are typing some text in Google, how it will be autocorrect or something like that. So that feature should definitely be there.
That's nice. So thank you so much for this segment, and that was your last question. And for being on the show and for answering all those wonderful questions. We have a small token of appreciation for you. This is for you, ma'am. And thank you so much for coming on the show. It was wonderful having you over here.
Thank you. Same here, Gina. And I loved being part of the show.
Thank you so much, ma'am.